Thank you. I'll go ahead and introduce Cody here. He's the only gentleman I can see. Cody is our Director of Operations for Lexington Podiatry, as well as our Chief Experience Officer for Modern Podiatrist. He has an extensive background. We're going to pull up a slide in just a second in healthcare management, um, just about everything. He's really, the way I consider him is he's my Oz. He's behind the scenes. He's the puppet master. I'm the puppet doing everything that needs to be done, along with Dr. Carter. So really having someone like that next to you to be able to prop you up with data and different things like that we didn't necessarily learn in podiatry school is key to the success of rolling out any over-the-counter options for you. So let's get started.
Gonna make me blush. All right. Well, thank you, Sarah and Ann, for the introduction. You took up most of what I was going to say to begin with, but thanks. Uh, so so welcome to an advanced OTC course where we're going to be hyper focusing on the difference between selling and dispensing. I know that's kind of a trigger for everyone. But as they said, where this is going to be a Q&A type of session, we're only going to eat up probably 30 minutes, hopefully less of your time. We're not talking heads. This is not our goal. We're not good at it. We don't want to be it. So we definitely want this to be more of a Q&A type session turn into. Assume that you're here because you're like us. You're a forward thinker. You're an innovator. You're realizing that the healthcare environment is shifting and changing, and the days of sole insurance reimbursement is dying. The times of being able to even have a fee schedule negotiation are long gone. It's a way to pass. So you're here to try and learn a little bit new tips and tricks. How can we shake things up and continue to offer that supreme healthcare that our patients deserve while also sustaining a good bottom line for your practice? No money, no mission is really what it comes down to. And then additionally, COVID shook up everything. I, for one, grew up. The only reason why I got into healthcare is because my parents always told me that healthcare is that's the where you go. That's the consistent money source. There's always going to be a place for healthcare. And then COVID said, no, you're wrong. And everybody got laid off and things changed. So we all sort of have to look into this different area. So also want a brief disclaimer. We are, as Sarah had mentioned, Dr. Friels is the founder and creator of Modern Podiatrist. It's an over-the-counter OTC line, but we are not here to sell Mod Pod. Of course, if you're interested, please give us a call. But a lot of what you're going to see are visuals and graphics and numbers from Mod Pod. But all of the practices that we talk about here and strategies can be implemented across all OTC platforms, not just Mod Pod. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Dr. Friel, to talk about our
Yeah.
agenda.
What I was thinking, going through, so I've been in practice 16 years now, and going through COVID and having, the rug ripped out from underneath me, like literally overnight, and trying to pivot every day when new information came out, to me really got me thinking like, okay, we've got to look at setting up other ancillary revenue streams in whatever capacity, if it's influencer marketing, um, the Mod Pod line, or consulting or whatever. I'm trying to build this kind of all these little sunbeams coming in around me so I can insulate myself financially as well as the practice. So, it's kind of like investing. If you're into the stock market, you don't put all of your money into one bucket. You want to kind of diversify it. And as a podiatrist, we weren't really taught this. Fortunately, my husband has the business background and helped me quite a bit, and Cody as well. But that's something that we really need to focus on, is that we are running a business. Yes, we are in the business of helping patients, but truly, when it comes to the end of the day, we're responsible for, I don't know, 20, 40 staff members, and being able to manage all that revenue to be able to take care of them is of utmost importance. So, what are we going to review today? This is going to be a crash course, high level, bullet point. We are not talking heads. I hate listening to lectures, no offense. So, what are we going to do? Talk about the difference between selling and dispensing. Really wrapping your head around what is selling. Selling to me is like Walmart. Walmart carries everything. They have not really vetted their product, unlike Costco. Costco's dispensing. They have found the top products, the top highest quality products that they can offer. private labeled some, sure, but you're not going in buying everything. So to me, the expertise of Costco, I always trust that brand over something from Walmart. With that being said, getting your team on board is critical to your success. We're going to go into that a lot more and how to do that and get them to really buy in to what you're doing and for them to understand that you are not selling. Really getting over this pain point as a practitioner is the only way that you can be successful because I know a lot of people are probably here because they feel like salesmen because we were never taught how to dispense, unlike plastic surgeons, dermatologists, things like that. So we're hoping to somewhat bridge the gap and give you some tools and tricks and things like that to give you the confidence, honestly, to dispense. Protocols, working on your protocols is another element that absolutely has to be done. It's a pain in the butt to do. Just do it. Just sit down, take 8 hours, and just hammer them out. We do offer, as a consulting team, we offer to help you build your protocols because I know when I sat through Andrew Schneider's protocol course at AAPPM, it was about 2 hours of protocol building, which was about 350 sheets. I like something that's a little more concise, a little easier to understand. But overall, really offering the OTC items in your practice increases not only patient compliance, convenience, and they're satisfied. It doesn't make sense to me why we perceive ourselves as salespeople whenever in reality, I've known this patient for 15 years. Why wouldn't they trust me on what I'm recommending? They're coming to me saying, hey, what do you recommend? I think it's my stereotype that I feel like I'm a salesperson, when in reality, they're begging and asking for help and willing. So that's our goal to really create a seamless, frictionless ancillary revenue stream with OTC to teach you how to do it and the different ways that we can do that, such as your displays, the curb appeal, and as Sarah mentioned, everything is very clean, very Scandinavian design. So it's easy to understand. It's really it's categorized nicely, so there is no confusion amongst the patient. So we'll walk you through that entire patient journey in the office and how we introduce OTC products to them at what part in the funnel that they are introduced to each item. Fast forward, Cody.
Perfect.
Oh, here's me.
All right. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on introductions because Sarah already did a fantastic job. But if you are not familiar with Dr. Nicole Friels, here's your quick little introduction. She's been in practice at Lexington Podiatry for the last 16 years, CEO and founder. She is also the CEO and founder of Modern Podiatrist, as we've already talked about. We've been dabbling in it for the last 9 years, just kind of practicing within our own clinic, and just recently expanded outwards into our wholesale partners. Probably 8 months now. I think we've kind of been new, not
September.
new. Yeah, not very old. We're new kids on the block. And aside from her clinical and entrepreneurial accomplishments, which are vast, she's also has extensive marketability within the podiatric community, including collaborations with Timberland, Bombas, Power Step, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. 403,000 subscribers on YouTube, 127 on TikTok, and RIP TikTok, but that's okay. So we will move right along on introductions.
Sadly, I'm excited just to have to not manage one more platform.
True.
Cody's already had his intro as well. Just a really quickly, military background, so that creates a wonderful framework for organization, which has helped us kind of get all of our, ducks in a row. So having that background is super helpful, and extensive experience in corporate, private, launching in multiple states, different practices, specifically in orthotics, prosthetics, that type of thing. So he's created a lot of national success that way. All right, let's get to work.
Do it.
All right. Again, selling versus dispensing. I would love a show of hands of who thinks that we are selling versus who thinks we are dispensing. I don't know. Put it in the chat box, put it in the Q&A. I don't know where it goes, but I would love to know who is having a hard time getting over this. And specifically, what can we do to mitigate the stereotype that we are salespeople? What we really have to focus on is this is a healthcare necessity. they're not coming in and having access to any, I mean, just about anything you can get in Walmart or Target. We only carry high end, unattainable products, or for the most part, not on Amazon. Some are, which is fine, but we want to make sure that we have an offering for just about every diagnoses, if it's hyperkeratosis, if it's onychomycosis, onychosis, pain, whatever it is, that we have an option for them because they're buying it anyway. And most of the time, and I'm sure everyone can agree with me, that's, so well, I've already spent thousands of dollars. I've already spent hundreds of dollars on stuff that's not helping. That's why I'm here. So you, as their trusted podiatrist for, again, maybe you've known them for 10 years, they're coming to you actively wanting advice. So that's where you have to bridge that or get over that hump that you are selling them something. And we'll talk a lot more in detail about the staff and getting them involved to help corroborate your story or get the entire patient journey and experience seamless. So the patient's not confused. They don't feel like they're going to have buyer's remorse and be sold all these products. That's not it at all. So you got to make it easy, and we're here to kind of help you how to do that. What I did in kind of learning, like, where do you start? Before Mod Pod, I mean, we have 150 SKUs, so it's not just Mod Pod. When I first started, I created an Excel spreadsheet and I listed the product, the ounces, the active ingredient, the percentage of the active ingredient, and any other benefits of that product. So in doing that, that's how we basically benchmarked all of our products for Mod Pod. I just tried to merge multiple products because I wasn't comfortable with dispensing an item for thinning the nail and then dispensing another item for an antifungal. Now, since it's been merged, but before 16 years ago, it wasn't. So here they are having multiple things. Patient compliance goes down. Patient frustration goes up because they have to do multiple things on top of their already busy day. So to me, really creating a one-stop shop of items that work because you've clinically tested them, and you have actual feedback from your patients, and you've had the opportunity to pivot to another product or test it and plenty of time to do that. You're giving them the best that you can because you are the expert. That's why they're sitting in your chair. You are the expert. Don't forget that. I think that's where a lot of us get caught up, really. Cody, do you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, for sure. So this is a really important part and most important to kick off this whole conversation, because this is where I see all practitioners, or a lot of practitioners, get hung up. They kind of hit that brick wall of I feel like I feel like I am selling. You get that one bad review, or you get that one bad comment from a patient that feels like you're pushing, and then you just kind of stop. And this is a learning curve. It's trying to figure out how you can round that corner and not make it so sales like, and make it more dispense like, is so important and so key. And I think the way that you do that as a non-DPM, take that in mind, take that in consideration. But the way that you do that is by finding a product that you really believe in. To me, simple definition, selling is trying to convince somebody that you have something they need. Dispensing is convincing them that you have something that they need in a healthcare capacity. Like, I don't want just to sell you something. I need to dispense this to you because you need it for your own healthcare. As Dr. Frills mentioned, they're going to get it somewhere else. There's a convenience factor that we'll get into. There's a whole bunch of other factors that play a part in making that a better patient journey. But the key difference is I want to sell it to you, or you need it sold to you. That's the difference between selling and dispensing. It's as simple as that.
I think it really comes down to, Cody, also that we weren't trained to be selling anyone or dispensing anyone. That was not a course. At least when I went through school, it was not a course. So anything that deviates from us helping the patient, even though this is helping the patient, but there's a price tag that comes with it. We just didn't have any education on how to accomplish that. So one of the things that I've been trying to do, even on YouTube, going how to dispense this product, how to discuss this with a patient. There's a lot of tools out there. And if you want to text me or direct message me on where I go to get a lot of my courses to study on body language and things like that, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to share it because that's so important to be able to communicate with the patient effectively. I think that number one will mitigate that you're a salesperson and that you're actually here dispensing them something to help them with this medicinal product.
Definitely. All right. Ooh. Step number one, really into this patient, creating a solid patient journey, is having a solid training plan for your team. We already mentioned a little bit about the importance of you knowing and understanding the product and believing in the product. It's more so important for your staff to be those advocates for these OTC products. As you know, and if you don't know, then you will know, I'm sure. We're nothing without a good team. No practitioner is successful coming in if they don't have a good, solid team behind them. The really good practitioners come in with nothing, with ground roots. They're just grinding with themselves and checking in, checking out, scheduling, doing it all on their own. And then they grow until they need somebody on their team. And then they grow until they need somebody good on their team. And the difference between having good help and just help is having somebody, in my opinion, that can be described as somebody that's on the same page as you. Somebody that can get behind your methodologies, get behind your treatment plans, predict what you're going to do, and really understand your protocols and your dispensing practices. And the first step in that is understanding your OTC. So again, it's vital to not only encourage knowledge on your OTC products, but to require it as well. And the best way to do that is for a few things that we've done, at least at Lexington Podiatry. These are examples just straight from our clinic. Is to make it part of your onboarding process. We have a very robust 90-day program that all of our staff go through. And it's just a written checklist, essentially, of everything that they have to learn within that 90-day period. I don't call them what we call them a clinical care coordinator until they check every single box from that checklist. And part of that is a robust knowledge of those OTC products. Not just knowing what they are, but knowing what they do, how do they pair, where do they belong in the treatment cycle, everything that needs to go into it. They need to be subject matter experts. And that goes into all of our staff, not just the back, not just the MAs, but also the patient experience staff, the folks that are on the phones, check in, check out, all of them, because that's part of that patient journey that we'll get into. And then additionally, lunch and learn. As you see on the screen, we really need to create that environment where you can sit and have that live Q&A session, pick the doctor's brains. Why did you pick this product? Teach me why it makes sense. Let's dive into the details of how it's made and what it actually does, to have that sit down kind of environment that's free and open and creates that engagement between the junior staff and you. And then lastly is also just to create an incentive program. This may sound silly to create an incentive program that helps in your OTC sales, but that's where that training on the front end comes into play. We see so often we have display for all OTC products in our waiting room, and we see day in and day out patients coming in and asking about products on that shelf. An MA, a doctor, is not going to be able to run out and go and talk about these products. It comes down to a check-in person that's able to step up and given them exact details on a toe bite, on what it's meant for, what does it do, and how they could benefit from it. So they get incentivized off of Google reviews. Happy to say that we just hit 2,500 Google reviews. So that's awesome. But it's all in part to our amazing staff that are subject matter experts on every aspect of our clinic, including our OTC sales, that can speak better than probably most reps, in all honesty. So it really comes down to that. And Dr. Rose, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, before, we really had kind of your training framework created, we skimped on the training portion. And now being on the other side of it, seeing the benefits of truly taking the time, stop the day, or you don't have to stop your day, do a lunch, like you said, do an early breakfast or something. And really taking the time and spending the money on educating them is critical for your success long term. Because if you get them on the hook out of the gate and they understand it, not only have you also mitigated the stereotype that you're some rich doctor, but you are also here, you're telling them and educating them, this is how we help our patients. We're in this together. I need your help, which you do, because they're telling your staff way more things than they're ever telling us. My husband's brother's sister has a fungal toenail. Well, our girls will leave a little note. Husband's brother or sister needs repair, which is our antifungal toenail treatment. So having them listening, I almost think about it like they're my little soldiers on the ground. They're always picking up, they're always engaging the patient. And I implore you to go on and look at the Google reviews. It has nothing to do with Dr. Carter, myself. It is all about the girls. It's all about the staff and how they are making the patients feel. And number one is they're educated. And so we've taken a lot of time and effort to do that. So don't skip on that part. It will pay off in spades if you do it out of the gate 100% and have, like you said, a robust training program. We also messed up that we would train them on everything out of the gate. Well, now we have a tiered system, which I'm sure Cody would be happy to share if somebody wants to direct message him. But that has been critical to our success as a company and really being able to pull off, all these changes we've made over the last couple of years, for sure. The team incentive program is by far the best we've ever had in 16 years, hands down. We could not get, and I've done Lynn Homisak, which I love her. I've done all of her courses and really, been heavily involved with AAPPM for 25 years and, tried all the programs that they've suggested. This is the only one that has ever stuck. And again, we'll talk about it more at some other time, but really seeing the girls happy and engaged and encouraging other people to reach that goal is unparalleled. They're actually supporting each other instead of trying to tear each other down, which it's amazing to see, honestly. But another day, it's a whole nother webinar.
Something else to call out for training wise is Mod Pod as an example. We offer training and onboarding plans for all of our new wholesale clients. Everybody that's coming on gets a dedicated webinar training session with Dr. Friels or Dr. Carter of just sitting down and going over your protocols and how you can build them in, really building it directly to your practice. Not saying you have to sign up with ModPod, but you should ask your reps, whoever you have OTC now, if they offer that, or should they offer, or can they offer that? If they're not, then they should, because that is a huge thing that has been a great success for our new partners.
Well, we just don't have time to train. The doctor's worried about, what surgery do I have? I need to go through the schedule for the day. Who I need to be looking for an ulcer, an infection? Did they cancel? We just don't have time to train, nor do we. I mean, some people love to teach. I'm not one of those, but I do it because I'm so passionate about this product line. I love doing that. I don't necessarily want to talk to them about a bunion again. But really offering that free training is really important. Ask all your reps. There's no reason they shouldn't do it. And that was kind of one of the things I did. I was just like, what do they not offer that I would want? And so we work backwards. So we have many things that we offer outside of a normal, product line, just because that's what we want. So yeah, I implore you to ask your reps, get that extra education. Absolutely. Protocols, my favorite. Where to begin? Number one, I've already mentioned, please make sure they're written down. There are so many different ways that we all practice and niche our practices. To truly sit down and say, here are my protocols, it's not really going to be applicable. Just as branding. Branding is it's your brand, it's your personalities. Well, protocols go directly in that. So we have a protocol for just about everything, and we have backed that into basically a per diagnosis value. And by doing that, we were able to look at, loss leaders or optimize our protocols based on patient requests and needs and services maybe that we have or newly have, things like that. With that being said, I am happy to work with anybody on their protocols. It's just not a blanketed answer, to be quite honest. So for plantar fasciitis, what you have in your office. We could work backwards and say, okay, how do you treat it? Because what we did was write out for each diagnosis first visit. First visit, mild pain, mild to moderate. First visit, severe plantar fasciitis pain. Second visit, third visit. So really trying to simplify it and then incorporating OTC options where it makes sense. So for example, if I'm maybe doing a boot on visit 1 for a severe plantar fasciitis patient, and then they come back in, then I would probably dispense a plantar fascial support if they're significantly better, just to give it a little extra elevation, and then talk about power steps or talk about an OTC option if we've not already gone over custom orthotics. Because truly, I mean, if they can get custom, that's what we want them to get, obviously. So with not only, the pain stuff, there's so many dermatological things that we treat. I mean, we are really quite similar to dermatologists. Again, why the parallel? Why the stereotype that dermatologists can have all this stuff in their practice and they're fine, but we are salespeople because we are offering very similar products for the same exact conditions. So again, this is very personalized. This is very customized. So if you need help building your protocols, I will happily sit down with you to go through each, maybe your top 5 diagnoses or something, or teach you at least the rhythm and the cadence of how to build a protocol. Happy to do that.
Perfect. All right. Patient satisfaction. We talked about this already a little bit, but now I get to show my nerd a little bit. As Dr. Pearls likes
Your
to
inner
call
nerd
me.
coming
My
out.
inner nerd is going to come out. So these numbers are a direct reflection of Lexington Podiatry, which is obviously our clinic. So I really want you to think about how these numbers could be applied back to your own clinic, and what that revenue would look like. These next couple slides. So for us, 53% of total visits result in some kind of over-the-counter dispensal. 53% of patients are leaving with an over-the-counter item. At 26% of patients leave with a Mod Pod product, just plugging it in there. And then as an example or two, just to dive even further, 25% of those patients are repeat customers, repeat consumers. So they are trusting that the product has been vetted and is solid by our practitioners, so they're coming back. It's tried and true. It works. It is something that they believe in because our doctors, our practitioners believe in it, so they continue to come back. That's that bullet point number 2. You see, vetted and trusted. Number 2, important point is the convenience. The patients are going to get it somewhere. Whether they come in with a cracked and calloused heel and they're not hydrated, they haven't used lotion in 10 years, they're going to leave your practice and they're going to go to Walmart and get something else. You can save them time and energy and effort by just offering it in your practice, especially if it's something that has that pharmaceutical component that elevates your dispensal. Then you're just doing them a favor. Absolutely. You were just helping yourself and your revenue income, of course, but then you're also just extending your patient care and bringing that next level. And then last is reducing the patient burden. Arguably the most important. Again, if you don't offer it, that patient's going to go out to Walmart and they're going to throw spaghetti at the wall and they're going to try something they have no idea about to see if it's going to work for them. 9 times out of the 10, you've seen it. It doesn't work. Unless they just get lucky and they find the golden jackpot that does, they're going to waste their money and their time and their effort. They're going to trust you more as their local podiatrist that has tested the product, believes in it, and knows that it works. So they're going to buy it from you first. And you could sleep soundly knowing that your patient is getting a product that is going to truly help them and not just be another spaghetti against the wall. So.
The amount of money that patients waste prior to their first visit is insane. Dr. Carter and I just went undercover at Good Feet last week. And if you've not done it, I highly recommend you do. It is eye-opening, very eye-opening, and not in a good way. But with that being said, they're sitting in the chair because they've already tried this stuff. It's not working. I mean, they've already been through it. That's why they're there for your help. So, let's drop this stigma that, we're the salespeople and just go with what you know. Be the expert. Kill them with knowledge. If you're not comfortable about a product, then that's your own fault. You've not researched it. You've not tested it. You haven't got patient feedback. You've got to put the work in, just like anybody else on your team. They've got to put the work in to believe in the product. And if you don't, get it out. There's no reason to keep it. So I think definitely taking into consideration that they're ready, they need help, and why send them somewhere else when you have something, if you believe in it, if you believe in it, if you have something to help them immediately. I mean, you're their friend, that you're their trusted friend. I can't even tell you how many Facebook requests I get from patients that are my best friend.
Hmm.
So anyway, yes, just keep that in mind, that you don't look at yourself as a sleazy type person. It's not that at all, but you have to walk a very, very thin line on how to recommend these things. And if you don't have your staff on board, you're dead in the water for
Yeah.
sure.
As a reminder, that's one of the first slides we talked about here, guys, is the difference between selling and dispensing. If you don't believe in it enough to push it out to your patients, then you are selling, and you're doing your patients a disservice. Sorry to be break out the dad voice, as Dr. Girls likes to say, but that's realistically what it is. If you don't believe in it, don't carry it.
Yep,
All right,
absolutely.
ancillary revenue. While we're all here, really looking for that golden goose, why not? So as a summary, the ancillary revenue is that money in your pocket that is not insurance based. How can you start to bring in that mailbox money that has the low risk and low operating costs that is continuing to serve your patients without eating at your bottom line? Operating costs are through the roof right now. In order to have a solid team and make good revenue, there's that weird stigma that you have to spend more money to make more money. And that's true to an extent, but where a lot of people get out of line is that they continue to spend without watching that revenue source. And that's where this ancillary revenue, of tying it into your insurance-based funding, is really that's the answer right now. So just as an example of how we've started to kind of transition into that and do a hybrid model between insurance and OTC ancillary revenue, 14% of our Lexington Podiatry revenue, total revenue, is OTC. That's crazy. That 14% of our money in the pocket does not have to go through a third party billing company. It doesn't have to go through insurance. It's just a check written out, cash in hand, put it in the bank, and you're done. 7%, taking that a little bit further, is modern podiatrist. So the way that you can stick to that and meet those numbers, again, kind of taking those numbers and applying them back to your own practice, how can you capture that 14% of over the counter revenue that you're missing out on? Tie back into your financials. See exactly where it fits in with your own practice. See what money that you are potentially missing out on. But the biggest piece of advice that I can give you going into this is to do your homework, look at your data, do your homework, track everything, report out on everything. If you don't have a weekly report out on what your numbers look like, as far as what's being dispensed and to whom, what kind of patient load, then you're already behind the ball. You need to have very robust reporting systems to know what you should be cutting out from an OTC line and what you should be reinvesting into based off of your patient demographic.
That would actually
Dr.
be
Earl?
a really good thing, Cody, to do another webinar where we go through each product and kind of, not each product, but to go through and show, like, if it's a loss leader, get it off the
Mm-hmm.
books, like we did earlier
Yep.
last year or something. We're like, well, we've only dispensed 2 of these. Why do we have inventory that's taking up 2 feet horizontally? It's like, it's stupid. So really focusing on what you're currently carrying, what else is new, what's out there, what's better, because technology is really changing things right now. So yeah, basically cleaning up your OTC and cleaning up your practice. What DME, what are you getting reimbursed this year versus last year? Yeah. So anyway, just a side note, that'd be a good project.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, we're eating up too much time, buddy.
I know. I know.
We're
All
almost there,
right.
people.
We'll go quick.
Okay. So this is kind of tying into the patient journey. There is a rule in marketing that a consumer needs to see it about 7 times before they're comfortable in purchasing said product. So we have it in many different varieties in our office. The first top right picture is a little misleading because that thing's about 5 feet tall and about 3.5 feet wide. So it looks really small. And also, we've categorized it. Like I mentioned, Sephora and Kiehl's, we'll do like a dry skin package or a kit, a fungal toenail kit, hyperhidrosis, or whatever it is, athlete's foot. And so they can just grab and go. And if they know that maybe their son has athlete's foot, we've already appropriately categorized it, and they'll just grab that and take it home. And they'll just come in and do shopping on their own. So that's kind of one touch point. We also have a slideshow, which you're going to see in a minute, and many other touch points in the practice. Not salesy, very clean, very, I love the wood tones, the neutral, natural colors. I don't like a lot of boldness. And I mean, I'm an 80s girl, but I've got the neon sign. But outside of that, we really want to keep it very, I guess we don't want the patient to be confused. We want to make the shopping experience very clean, very clearly defined. And if you can do that and not have it, muddied up so much, then I think you'll definitely get better conversions on your products that you're offering. And there's so many different ways that you can implement this, from referring practices, gifts for social media, little make it right gifts, something like that. Having your staff, Cody mentioned earlier, you definitely want your staff to use as many of your products in even orthotics, the braces, everything as much as possible, because they are your biggest advocate. If they have experienced it, they will be able to share their experience or their family's experience, and they're going to be selling for you. So you don't have to really, do much work. So this creates, and I think this is why our return rate is so high, because we've created this experience for the patient that is attractive to them, and they could just pop in and get whatever they need, and they're out. It's very easy. So keep it classy, San Diego. Right?
Oh, Lord. It's something that I would add on to this, which ties nicely into what I think is our last slide here. Is part of that patient journey. These are those extra examples that Dr. Fields was talking about. And the top picture example is a text card that all of our patients get as they're leaving. It's where Dr. Fields, Dr. Carter, Stacy, our nurse practitioner, write down what the notes are of the visit, and they get sent home with that. It's got patient resources on it through a QR code, all that kind of good stuff. And then the next picture is a slideshow, is an example of small picture of our exam room, one of them, of a continued slide deck that's going through. And it's just going through all of the patient resources that are available, whether it's something along the lines of our YouTube channel that has patient resources on it, or a Mod Pod product, or something along those lines. It's really about building that brand recognition, and continuing on that seven view marketing rule of the consumer has to see it 7 times before it starts to click and they really consider purchasing anything, while also bringing value to each encounter. What I highly recommend is anytime you're thinking about adding an extra step in the patient journey of when they're going to see that opportunity to purchase something, ask yourself, does it bring value to the patient? I can truly say that if they get sent home with a text card that has resources that they can scan a QR code and they get brought to a shoe guide, absolutely. Or if they're sitting in the patient in the exam room waiting for Dr. Friels to get done with her next patient and they see something on our laser services that we offer, absolutely, that brings value. So that is also where you continue to draw that line between selling and dispensing of, you're not just selling, you are dispensing something that the patient is truly benefiting from and that they need. If you can answer that question positively at every encounter, then you did your job.
I think it comes down to that. I mean, I was looking at some of these questions here. It's like, maybe it's not your patient demographic or whatnot, and I completely understand that. It's also about the presentation. How many times have we seen people begging for money on the side of the road when they've got the brand new iPhone and the brand new Nikes? You just never know, especially being in Kentucky. We have so many horse farms. You can't judge a book by its cover. So we just basically do the same protocol for every patient, and you'd be kind of surprised what they're open to. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that, is you just never know. So with that being said, do we want to jump into some questions? Yes, is our contact information. I think this is our direct text, or is this our phone number and email? Okay, here. Oh, here it is on the right.
So.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Okay, so let me jump through some of these questions. Do we have a photo? Or is there anything searing on your end, Sarah, that we need to jump into first?
Hi, sorry. Okay. I don't know what, oh, there we go. Okay. My lighting always takes like a minute to get on here. So did you guys want us to field the questions for you, or are you able to, we are happy to do these for you and shoot them over to you. I just didn't know what you prefer.
I mean, I can see them right now, so I can knock them out in 2 seconds.
All right.
First,
Go for it. I'll probably just go faster if you
yeah.
read them. I have I have like a billion just sitting here for
Okay,
myself.
good.
So I'll contribute, but I want to make sure that our participants get their questions in before I do anything that I thought might be interesting to chat about.
Okay, perfect. So the first question is, how did you source a manufacturer for modern podiatrists? How do you manage to make such great videos? I find it awkward to ask patients to video them. So the first question, how did I source a modern podiatrist? I am from a gigantic family. My dad is one of 14, so I have a cousin for just about everything. Um, the manufacturing location is in my hometown, so it's one of my friends. She does it. Yeah, so that's I know it's too easy, right? Now I've had many manufacturing companies over the past 9 years, but we've had this one for the last several, and has by far that's why we're kind of here today. We've like, okay, we're getting into we're hitting our stride now, if you will. We were kind of testing. We tested for 6 years on our patients these recipes to make sure that they were what we wanted, and tweaked a billion times over. How do we manage to make great videos? Honestly, I don't know. Just being comfortable in front of the camera. It's being yourself. You're going to either love or hate me. Either way, I'm cool with that. Just try to give them your personality, and that's where brand development comes in. When I mentioned we do consulting, we don't advertise for consulting, but it's just something that we get asked a lot to do. I do a lot of brand building, sitting down. This is your personality. What do you want to showcase to your patients? What's your ideal patient demographic? And really looking at the data and incorporating all that into what you want to do personally. Like, you'll never catch me doing a triple at 2 a.m. in the ER. There's no way. That's just not me. I'd rather be doing something like this. So really, again, brand building is important to get your good quality videos, and then that's how you get patients to do them. They want to do them. I have so many patients that come in. I drove 4 hours from here. Can I be on your YouTube channel? Sure. um, and if they have not done that, then I would just say, you know what, you have a really good case, you have a really good story. I would love to educate our community, because myself and Dr. Carter and Stacy are in very small areas in Kentucky. There's not a lot of healthcare here. So the initial channel started as we wanted to educate our little small people in our small towns. So that's where it started. So and then everybody just kind of jumped on, and it was from an educational standpoint purely, and which is what it still is. So stay tuned. We're launching another channel under Modern Podiatrist. I never sleep. So,
And
okay.
I think that people too, sorry, I just want to chime in for a
No,
second. It's funny how it's patients, or really just anybody, love to feel like they're helping, like they love to feel like they're contributing to something. So if you were to say, like you just said, Dr. Shrills, your case is outstanding, your story is unique, like it would really be awesome if we could share this. They would honestly, you'd probably get more yeses than nos, because it's like, ooh, yay, they feel appreciated, they feel recognized, and um they want nothing for it. They love to be a part of it.
no, I mean, if you think about it, if you found something, you want to pay it forward. I mean, that's like humankind, right? That's kind of natural for us. So why wouldn't we? We shouldn't be embarrassed to ask. Now, if someone says no, and they generally, and I get very, very few no's. Um, and you have to read the patient. That's where your body language courses come into play. Is this an appropriate patient to ask to video or not? So looking for those nonverbal cues is really important in determining if this is a patient that wants to be filmed or is an absolute no.
Mm-hmm.
I'll jump to the next question if you want, since um, does it depend on your market? I have about 60% of patients complain about copays and deductibles. Well, the way I look at that is what demographic are you building? I was very detailed when I started my started the practice that I, didn't want this, and this, or I did everything at the beginning, and then I just started slowly backing out of what didn't interest me personally. I love biomechanics. I love sports medicine, so that's kind of my jam. So to me, that attracts a different type of patient. Now, if you are focusing on nail care and callus care, there is still a good use for OTC products, but it has to be tailored to that toenail fungus, calluses, different ways to gently abrade the callus, and having it there because they're using it anyway. I mean, whether you think they can afford it or not, they are. They find the money for that, right? How many times have you had a patient come in solely for plantar fasciitis for the last 30 years? They've tried every over the counter insert, doesn't work. So you're like, you need a custom orthotic. But I also have a question about my toenail fungus. Inevitably, they'll turn down the orthotic, but they will buy the $36 repair toenail oil because that's they have money for that. So you just never know. Really, really never know. Um, do we have a photo of our display? Absolutely. We offer 3 different sizes through Modern Podiatrist, and actually you get it for free with minimum orders. If anybody's interested about that, just email me or something. Can you talk on what it looks like? On all of my design is, I think I mentioned this already, it's like a Scandinavian, very natural. I love elements like stone, rock, wood, things like that, because it keeps it very clean to the eye, and then it allows them to focus visually on the highlighted categories. And with those categories on your display, add, what do you recommend for toenail fungus? Are you doing Theranail, to promote nail growth? Are you doing a topical? What does that look like? And whatever that is, put that on your display and then categorize it. Because more often than not, they're just going to grab everything and go. And then keep it in a kit. You have it separate, but then you also have a kit. Have the prices listed on the bottoms too, by the way. Really, really important because no one wants to ask how much is this because they feel like they're, I don't know, being cheap or something.
And it's funny, a lot of these questions, I was like, well, that kind of, I actually wrote a note for myself about displays, because I don't know, there's kind of 2 parts to this for me, and I'm only getting into it because it's relevant to this question. I don't know what it is, and maybe I'm alone in this, but I kind of feel like that's probably not true. Displays at a doctor's office just always seems, it's not that I feel that they're out of place. I just don't feel like it's an appropriate place to shop. And it feels weird. And so it's like, I know I could buy these things, but like, this isn't a store. So it just doesn't fit. And so
Yeah.
I don't shop at, no matter where I'm at, even at like, if I go to the eye doctor, I like don't go shop for all of their accessories and all of those things. So that's kind of part 1. But I was wondering what your thoughts are. Obviously, you showed some pictures of your practice, like the laser section. And do you think there would be a benefit of creating that separation so that there is a store in your practice? So it seems with like a cashier that seems separate from the practice. So I feel like now I'm in a shopping mode and I can browse without it being like,
Weird.
monkey outside of its cage. Like I don't, it fits at that point.
Yeah, we've considered putting in the reception area just this secluded area that's all like a glass enclosed area, and then having, um, different shelves in there with categorization and whatnot. We haven't had, with the way that we've laid our office out, we haven't had much feedback in terms of it feels salesy, especially because of the location. What we do for our clients is they actually will take a video and walk through their space, and based on what they have and based on their brand, that we will advise them on this is a good location because of, we've done motion analysis of our practice, so we know exactly where, the hot spots are, where they're looking. So it seems more natural and less, salesy. really, it's all about how you do it. I mean, how can Disney get this many people to spend billions of dollars on pretzels and ice cream every year when it's pretzels and ice cream? So you just have to, I think backwards and put yourself in that position. So I think a freestanding store would be great, but retail and the margins on this versus what we do in the practice, there's just no comparison. So I wouldn't necessarily spend my resources and allocate that to retail when I know I make about $1 billion more. This is really to enhance what you're already doing to create a comprehensive plan for the patient. This isn't designed necessarily to take away money from what you're already doing. It just kind of gives you, I mean, like we said, mailbox money. It's easy. It's the easy money. It's the easiest money you can get, especially the repeat business. I mean, you're doing literally nothing.
I didn't think anyone else used that term. And here's me to use that term. You've heard me say mailbox money. I didn't know anyone else uses that term. So I guess I'm not alone. Good deal.
There you go. That's Go ahead, Cody.
I think something else to consider in that too is you're almost taking away from yourself. If you create this retail environment, think about who you're competing against. I'm sure everyone on this webinar has heard a patient come in and say, well, I can get that on Amazon for $30. You hear that. If you create that I'm afraid, I don't know for certain, but I'm afraid that if you create that retail environment, then you're almost just buying into, you're competing against those online conglomerates that you're not able to. Embrace that you're the subject matter expert. You're the doctor. I tell Dr. Pearls and Dr. Carter this every day. You're the doctor. They're here to see you for a reason. They're here because they trust you, and use that. That's you're saving them money in the long run because they're not going on Amazon and buying some hunk of junk that's going to break down in a week. You vetted the product and you know it's going to work for them long term. So I vote no that a retail an on-site retail store would not be very successful. I think that they're going to most benefit from coming in and actually seeing you and getting that treatment plan established with a standard of care.
Cody, I love what you said. They're the doctor, and I'm a consumer, obviously, but I'm the exact opposite of Sarah. And this happens in a lot of things for us. Like, she hates apps. I love apps. She hates to shop at the doctor's office. I will immediately buy anything available at the doctor's office just because I think they're going through the trouble of keeping it here. I must buy it. The vet's office, the med spa, the eye doctor, the OB's office, everything. I must have it all. So
I wish everyone was like you, Anne. Sounds awesome.
Someone brought up the
everything opposite, which
that's a good partnership. That's a great partnership. Someone mentioned, am I concerned about them stealing the products? The way I look at that is an opportunity cost. We don't necessarily have an issue with theft. You have to really think about where you're positioning your products and having your staff's eyes on it. Also, we've even, when we do our vendor events, we have empty bottles on some of our displays just to kind of minimize that. But with our one in the reception, it's fully loaded. And if someone steals one lotion, yet we are able to profit, $350 in a day off of that display, and we lose a $32 product from theft, then that's, on us. But we're still, at the end of the day, we're walking out ahead, if you will.
And it doesn't happen as often as what you would think.
Yep.
It's been a concern of ours too, but in my 2 years at Lexington Podiatry, I haven't seen a theft yet. So, knock on wood.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. In terms of my protocol for toenail fungus, someone asked specifically, where is Jublia and terbinafine and itraconazole in your antifungal treatment? How do you recommend these? Sorry, I'm getting more questions while I'm reading that one. So I go through, Dr. Carter and myself go through, you have three options. One, there is a topical option, secondly, there's Lamisil, over-the-counter prescription Lamisil. You have to do blood testing, harsh on the liver. Third, we have laser therapy, 6 treatments over a period of 6 months. That's kind of my spiel with it, but no matter what, you have to use a topical. I kind of weight it. So our topical is a 4-in-1, lactic acid, clotrimazole, tea tree oil, and urea 42%. So again, we merged everything into make them super potent. So in terms of oral terbinafine versus Jublia, I don't know about you, but Jublia is crazy expensive in Kentucky. Patients actually get pissed if I call in Jublia sometimes, or be like, "You're $350. Really, there's nothing else." So that is one way to offer something. Hey, let's try this for a couple months, what we have, and then if it's not working, then you can invest in Jublia. When in reality, we get great success rates, so they don't even have to buy Jublia. They just continue to come in and repeat purchase.
Yeah,
So
and I
that's kind of
encourage
my.
you to look at ingredient lists too, comparatively. It compared ingredient list against us and all of the players, and they're all very, very comparable.
Yeah, I give them and I tell them, listen, your fourth option is you don't have to do anything. This is purely cosmetic. So this is if this is important to you, it's important to me. And that goes on the back end of someone that's kind of like, yeah, I have calluses, but I don't care. I'm like, you don't care? I don't care. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about your whatever, plantar fasciitis. Um, do staff get a percentage of sales? Absolutely not. That is something I feel like creates unhealthy competition amongst staff if you incent them this way. That's why the incentive program that we offer is fully engaging to everybody. They just love to watch each other win, and they're all winning. So
I had a note about staff members as well. And how, I mean, do you give your staff members all the products to use themselves? Because I mean, I know like I don't work in a podiatry office. I have no experience doing that, but all my friends and family know that I work in this profession, and I constantly get questions of where should I go, what should I use, as if I am that expert. Obviously, I know enough to be dangerous, but hopefully not too dangerous.
but you're trusted. That's why they're asking you.
Right. So I'm curious because obviously, my thought is that if your staff members are using the products that your patients would potentially be using, then they're probably going to get questions all the time because they know where they work, and then they don't. That's again, they're not selling; they're just referring products that they know and love themselves, just like they would if like their favorite mascara or something like that.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
actually have an affiliate marketing program. So there's another question about can you make a website to sell OTC? Absolutely. So we offer that you as a practice are given your special code, say Heartland Foot and Ankle, Melissa Lockwood. She has her own code that we have put in our system. So any purchase made through or online with her code, she gets 10% of all sales and her patients get 10% off. So it's a win-win for both parties. Um, in terms of like percentages of sales, I just feel like that is that's a gray line I don't want to walk for sure with that, but you can incent them in so many different ways for sure.
Yeah, and Sarah, to answer your question, our office smells fantastic. You can walk in and see our receptionist just rubbing Soothe, which is our CBD product, just on their foreheads to alleviate headaches all the time.
I hope it
So
doesn't clog her pores.
no, it's great. But yeah, they use it all day, every day. Nourish is a hot commodity that goes around the office all the time. So
Yeah.
yes,
It
they are
says,
very strong believers.
sorry, here's another question before people are jumping off. Do we have Mod Pod available for other practices at wholesale? Yes, that is what we've just launched in September. We have wholesale pricing, we have private label pricing, we have bulk pricing, we have affiliate marketing. I already mentioned that. The average cost to the patient, well, I should give you the range. The minimum is $8. The maximum is 60. So in your cost, basically cut that in two.
Yeah,
It's very simple.
average cost is about $28.88. I did the math because I've read ahead.
We're in line with all the competitors. Cody asked this question. I don't know if you can see it. What are the tax implications with OTC dispensing in a medical office? Do you charge tax or not?
We do not charge tax, no. So there's really no tax implications that you need to worry about. We don't charge for anything, any kind of tax.
I think it's a state thing, right?
Yep, it's all
Yeah.
state based.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, but I do encourage you to look into that for whatever state you're in. And I'm not sure all of the state specifics, but you should definitely look into that.
Yeah. Any other? I see a few, but they're do we offer money back guarantee for dispensing? We do that online. We try to minimize any types of return in the office because I feel like, if one person says, hey, this isn't working, that's kind of incepting someone else's brain that overhears. And it's like, oh, I want to return it. We haven't even tried it yet. Well, it didn't work for this person. I don't know 15 feet away from me. So but we honestly have, it's not an issue at all because we don't really have any returns on the product. And knock on wood somewhere. It's not a problem that we deal with, but perhaps if you're dealing with other OTC products that they are being returned, then you really need to look at what you're dispensing because it's not working.
Yeah.
Especially, and that's where the tracking comes in.
And if we do, then we honor that 100% ourselves because, like Dr. Rose was saying, it's so minimal that, yeah, but yes. And then at that point, it's, a patient doesn't like the lavender smell or something along those lines.
I have a question just about the title of your presentation in general. Obviously, is there a reason why you're not using the word prescribing instead of saying dispensing?
I typically try to lean away from that because the Google algorithms, when you're saying prescribing and marketing as prescribing, you're dinged quite a bit. You can't say cure, treat. So you have to be very careful of the wording that you can use.
Okay.
And we kind of chose this title because most of us don't really say we're going to prescribe you something that I'm going to hand it to you. If we're prescribing, the vernacular is we're prescribing it to the pharmacy. So I think that's probably the bit of disconnect of why we didn't choose that. Also with the legal ramifications in Google's algorithm.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that was just my own personal
Yeah, no.
Uh, Earlier, you had talked about targeting and your demographics, which then I just was able to throw away one of my post-its because that was one of my questions. But obviously, you do a lot of social media. You have your TikTok following. You take testimonials from your patients. But how much of the dispensing process do you do beforehand? Or ultimately, are you doing Google AdWords for the Mod Pod product line? Or do you wait until you're face to face with the patient to begin that awareness process?
We kind of been playing around with both. We've had it, like I said, in the practice for 9 years, and not until September did we have any inclination that we were actually sitting on something that people want. So this is a whole new territory for us. We're kind of like, oh gosh, how do we be salespeople? Cody, do you know how to sell? I don't know how to sell. So that's kind of where the angle came in with the YouTube channel. Like we're just educators. So if we can educate you on what you're currently going through, that's what I'm looking for. That's valuable to me. I'm a service oriented, the work language. What can you do for me? I don't want gifts. I don't want anything else. How can you help me be better at my job? And so that's truly our angle. And looking and working with our partners, we're not going to work with everybody. We want to work with people that are like-minded, that want to, think outside the box really and how to implement, because and my grandpa was a podiatrist and he's probably rolling over in his grave. But he didn't dispense anything because insurance reimbursements were so great in the 80s. They just gave them everything. He was actually dispensing it. He was creating these products for them, but there was no, money transaction or anything like that. So yeah, a lot of people are very interested in the private labeling because they can put their own trade, their own brand name on there, and get that recognition. It's great for referring practices. Definitely to give them like a big gift basket and just test it, try it, and just that brand awareness because you can build it into anything. We have signed up for a bunch of races locally here, and so we're going to be co-branding it, and then being able to do a lot of giveaways. Everybody loves free stuff, so.
Yeah, I am surprised how many practices don't get involved with community events with their stockpile of inventory. I don't get it.
It's just another thing on the to-do list. It really is. If you don't need it and you're just like, well, then, but it depends on what patient demographic. I mean, so we're sports medicine, so we're solely, we let go of 30% of our practice demographic last year, to focus solely on what we want to treat. You
Right.
know, you don't have to treat everybody.
I mean, if I had a practice and I saw that everything was going to be expiring in 2 months, I'd run to a community event and just be like, take it. So at
Mhm.
least they can get it in their hands and then hopefully they like it. But
Yeah,
I
the
don't
shelf life for our
know.
products
So,
are
I
typically
guess
about
it
a
doesn't.
couple years. So, but look at all of your products. You know, what is it expired? What is that shelf life date? So really important.
Well, we are a little over the hour, but I want to wrap up with this question. How can I learn more about what products would fit into my practice? And before you answer, Dr. Fields, just so you know, I'll be sending all of the questions to you in case you want to answer any of these in more depth via email. So, but yeah, I think this would be a great question to end on since we've got the Mod Pod line sponsoring. So,
Well, the way I look at that, how can you incorporate it into your practice? That's where it comes down to. This is your practice, your brand, your demographic, and only you know that. So that's why when we onboard, we as a team sit down with you and create and help you implement these into your already existing protocols. So we kind of just collaborate and partner with you instead of saying, okay, hey, here's a starter pack. You should do this. When in reality, maybe you don't treat anything but, sports injuries or something. So it doesn't really make sense for you to carry stuff that's heavily in a dermatological area. So that's, we cater it and personalize it to each practice. So it's an in-depth onboarding convert, not in-depth, but it's a conversation with myself, Dr. Carter, and like, hey, let's talk about your practice. How can we help you? What makes sense for your practice? Because the last thing we want to do is have you buy any product that sits there and goes stale, because that doesn't really look good on us. So, right, we're going to give you what we know that you can dispense successfully.
yeah,
So it's,
strategic doesn't always have to be complicated.
no, it really doesn't, you know?
We're partners, not salespeople. That's really the extent of it. We want to get in and set you up for success because we don't want to just sell it to. We're kind of the definition of the difference between selling and dispensing. We're not just selling to you because we want to. We're dispensing to you because your patient can benefit from it.
I just
So
think
we
about how many
want you to be
reps
successful.
I've seen about how many reps I've had over the years. And, sadly, they're in it for, the wrong reasons. But, we have a name, we have a reputation, and that we wouldn't put anything out there that's not going to work, or we wouldn't be doing this if we didn't believe in it. So that's it.
I love it. Good stuff. Well, thank you guys so much. We had a great amount of people join us this evening. A lot of you stuck around, so I appreciate everyone who hangs on till the final moments. So, I mean, it's I'm in Central Time, so it's not super late for me, but I know it gets late there on the East Coast. So I do appreciate everybody coming on board. Dr. Friels, Cody, thank you so much. This was I think it was wildly helpful. And as you said, any way that these practices can start increasing revenue because of the way things are, you got to do it. So adapt or die,
Right.
right?
Got to roll with the
Exactly
punches.
right.
Exactly. So I know I'm excited to get more content from you. So everybody who was here, gear up. We're going to have more from Mod Pod from podiatrymeetings.com in the future. And also, as always, I always introduce next week's webinar, which you saw in one of Dr. Friel's video. There was a little Remy laser in in there. I've got mine sitting right there. Next Monday, the 25th, we do have our lecture with Dr. Adriana Strimbu talking about treating heel pain with therapeutic lasers. It is sponsored by the Remy laser. So I got it out. That was not easy. It's after 8 o'clock. So, but thank you again. And if you have any other questions that you weren't able to ask, feel free to shoot them over to beheard@podiatrymeetings.com. We will shoot them over to Dr. Friels and Cody and the rest of our team. Or is there a better email address, Dr. Friels, that they could go directly to you that you want to shout out really quick?
I believe it's just Dr. Friels at lexpodiatry.com.
Perfect.
Yeah, and we've got our cell phone number listed up there too. So just text, whatever.
Okay. And we
Everything.
have this recorded as we always do. We'll get this taken down and we'll put it up on our Practice Partner Academy webpage. And so if you want to watch it again, feel free. If anybody missed it, we'll shoot you the link. So,
Awesome.
and anything to add? I
Hold
can't
on.
hear you.
I know. I'm like, I'm watching myself be muted. Yeah, no, I'm good. Thank you guys for everything. Thanks for your time tonight, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Guys,
Thanks,
have
everyone.
a great night. Bye-bye.
Bye.